Make sure to click the link in the description and check out Elca Gaming. We're going to be collaborating here very soon, and he's going to be a new team member of the podcast series for The Last of Us Part 2, so check out his channel and show your support by clicking the link down in the description. Peace. No particular reason as to why you should do what I'm about to tell you to do, but give this video a thumbs up. It won't start unless you give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe to Breakthrough Gaming and get your chance to win a copy, limited copy, Last of Us 2, which I'm not in.
Hello, man.
There you go, buddy.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome
so
everyone to Breakthrough Gaming. In today's Last of Us Part 2 video, I have some crazy information. And when I say crazy, I'm not saying crazy in the traditional sense of something being huge. I'm talking about all of the above. Huge, actually literally crazy, as in what the heck does Neil Druckmann mean by this? And it really paints a bigger picture of how The Last of Us Part 2, it'll help us understand how the game is going to be and have a better image of what to expect. Alright. So before I even, disclose this information, let's just get one quick thing out of the way. The Last of Us Part 2 is a game about hate. It's a game about violence, revenge. That revenge that Ellie is seeking to avenge God knows what at this point. Probably Dina. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this game is got to be on at least the top 5 most violent games that, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, based on how The Last of Us Part 1 was, I want to go ahead and say that The Last of Us Part 2, it's going to be on the top 5 most violent games that I've ever played. And then that's pretty easy for most people to say. How much more of a violent game can you play than slicing people's throats? Alright, so what I'm trying to say here is that for having such a violent game, you can pass, and I quote Neil Druckmann because he literally stated, you can pass most levels and the majority of The Last of Us Part 2, if not the entirety of The Last of Us Part 2, the entirety of The Last of Us Part 2, without having to so much as inflict any violence on any opponent. And when I say any opponent, I mean, yes, literally, guys, you don't have to inflict anything on any opponent or any enemy in order to pass the game. Now, let me go ahead and clarify why this is something that is incredibly mind-bubbling. It bamboozles me just to think about this, because it's so counterintuitive to say that such a violent game, you don't have to use violence at all to pass it, but it turns out this is actually great news. Don't let these news, make you have a bad opinion of this game. I understand that, a lot of people want to play this game and they want to actually use violence. They want to actually be able to kill their opponents as part of the experience. So by no means am I saying that The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be a game that is, in other words, easy. I'm not saying at all that this game is going to be easy, that you can just breeze through it and speed run through the entire game. No. If anything, I'm saying quite the opposite. The Last of Us Part 2 has so much detail and so much environment interaction. For God's sake, you can literally use your opponents for like an infected clicker and lure them into attacking your enemies without you having to do anything, just with strategy alone and stealth alone. So that tells me that this game is so detailed and so up to par with the environment interaction that we've all been waiting for, that we can use strategy, strategic movements, strategic way of thinking. We could calculate literally our way into passing this entire game without having to so much as inflict any pain or any violence on any opponent. Now let me go ahead and narrate here a few of the quotes that Neil Druckmann stated so you understand that I'm literally not making this up, guys. The Last of Us Part 2 has been designed in a way where you can either traditionally play your way through mission after mission to having the ability to get through the entire game without having to fire a single shot. And I quote here, without inflicting so much as a paper cut on her assailants. Assailants meaning opponent. And this is a quote that came directly from Vice President Neil Druckmann. He went on to say, I don't know why it feels worse to kill a dog than a human being, but it does feel worse. And when you hear the dog yell, there's an emotional reaction. You feel dirty and you feel guilty. And these are feelings unique to video games. You don't feel that when you're watching a movie. A movie, you just cringe and look away and think, well, that character's doing it. So let me proceed here with another quote in regards to Neil Druckmann. And if you did feel bad, he's referring to killing dogs in the gameplay demo that a lot of people got to play. He adds with a mischievous grin, I'll make you feel even worse. You did not have to kill a single dog in this demo. He continued on explaining, and I quote, it transpires, I didn't actually have to kill anything. Ellie could have snuck through the entire level, and Druckmann revealed almost every other level of the game, without inflicting so much as a paper cut on her assailants. The fact I felt compelled to murder everyone I came across hopefully says more about the inherent conditions of decades of playing video games than my own psychopathic tendencies, but both interpretations would be valid. So, you know, there was a little bit of gibberish there, but the point is that Neil Druckmann himself is admitting that you don't gotta kill anyone, you can use strategy to pass the entirety of this game. Alright, let's finish off this video with a last quote that puts everything I've said so far into an even bigger perspective. He went on to say, "This is only a microscopic example of the stuff we're doing." So being able, and I quote, being able to use strategic, being able to use the environment to your advantage, the detail, the intricacy that this game has, according to Neil Druckmann, it's only a microscopic example of the entirety of things that they have implemented and that they're working on. There's stuff, and I quote, on a much higher level that I can't talk about and I want you to experience when you play the final game. That concludes everything for today's video. I hope you are excited as I am, because even though most people didn't really make a video covering this aspect of the interview, if you look at it from a deeper point of view, this new fact that we know now essentially changes how we see the entire game of The Last of Us Part 2, because they kept throwing into our faces, hey, The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be realistic, it's going to add this mechanism or this variable to the game. Wow, 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 a lot of wows, but we never had a direct confirmation from the vice president of Naughty Dog. You know, it's just been a little talk there, a little talk here, but this definitely puts the cherry on top. I am excited as hell, guys. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm Breakthrough Gaming, your #1 source for The Last of Us Part 2, and I'm out. Don't forget that we're hosting a giveaway for 30 copies of The Last of Us Part 2. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 5, but 30 fucking copies. More information in the description.